Okay, so I'd like to welcome all of you back to our channel. It's been a long time, eh? Ivan, how long has it been?
Six
It's
months now.
been a long time, man. Oh my God, we were meant to do a WRC podcast, but sadly we couldn't because of Corona and the whole thing going around the world. But now we are back. F1 is back, and that race on Sunday. Oh my God, Ivan, that race on Sunday.
It was a good way to come back.
That
It wasn't
was,
boring,
I think,
it wasn't anything like we were expecting to come back after so long and just see shit, but it was.
and see, we were expecting to see a very, very big gap from Mercedes.
I mean, the gap was still there. Let's be honest. Let's not like Mercedes was still definitely ahead of everyone, but it was a lot more exciting than just a boring Mercedes 1-2.
True, than just a boring, yeah, that's very, but seeing Ferrari on the podium after, we struggled, man.
But that will be a good little segue because what I wanted to do is actually also talk what we predicted from the first podcast and go through all those ways because I did take some of those points down and
Yes.
sort of some of the things we talked about actually came back to bite us in this race as well.
No, that's very, very true. Like,
So
honestly, I didn't expect Mercedes to be that far ahead, let me not even lie to you. Because we always assume during pre-season testing that teams are sandbagging and all, you see. But Mercedes showed us its true pace from the start, and we didn't believe it.
Yeah, they weren't hiding anything. They
Exactly.
knew exactly the car they had. They had nothing to hide. But what we did talk about in the first podcast is Mercedes had a lot of electrical and hydraulic issues, and
Yes.
those issues are still here. So it seems
Yes.
like at least for the first race they haven't fixed anything because that was the only thing that was slowing them down throughout the whole race, and other Mercedes-powered cars as well.
Yes.
How many
And
of those guys were breaking
For
down?
example, I remember Racing Point broke down during pre-season testing, if I'm not wrong.
So did Williams. All these
And
Mercedes
also,
guys.
yes, and Williams and also Bottas's Mercedes, if I'm not wrong. Hamilton was, I think, the only guy who didn't break down, eh?
No, he had electrical issues as well.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that was such a long time ago, man.
Yeah, that's why I
But-
took these points earlier. And they're still there, the problems are still there, so that means
Yes, the other teams
If-
have a chance.
if they haven't fixed it in a week, who knows? Like, because all the factories were shut down during the break, so I guess they didn't have time to fix it then. But if it's as serious as they think it is, I think they'll fix it by this next weekend.
But do you really see them having that much big of a difference compared to what we saw last week? Because
In terms of reliability,
yes.
well, it's all those sensors. If they can, it's either they fixed the issue with the sensors that they were having, or they're just gonna force Bottas and Hamilton from the start to not drive on the curbs
On the
and
cars.
just
But
drive
now,
more
this is the
calmly.
thing, Ivan, in Formula One, we've seen how much time you get by riding the cars. We have properly seen that. So you really think these guys will have proper race pace if they don't ride the cars?
I think it'll be interesting what they've done, but yeah, if those issues, if they haven't fixed them, they're gonna have a hard time, because I think with this race, if Verstappen didn't DNF so early, I think he would have posed a real threat to their party. Because he would have easily sort of caught up and put pressure on Mercedes, especially with the strategy that he was on, and
Yes.
force them to use the curbs and force them to have issues with their car. Whereas in this race, there was no one ever behind them to force them into issues, to force them into problems. So I think
Yes.
if
Albon,
they
oh my
haven't
God,
fixed that issue,
Albon, man. Albon would have messed up those cars, man. Oh my God. Like
exactly,
that
we
was-
talked about Albon
Dude,
as well in the
we-
first
we-
podcast about his podium, for his first podium.
Yeah. When do you see him getting his first podium, honestly speaking?
Probably
Because
even this weekend. He's quick. This is the thing, people. He's a really quick driver.
We're not
And
denying that, but you see, the mistake on Sunday, could you really blame that on Hamilton? Because
Yeah,
I'd say it's a
no,
racing
I
incident,
think-
man. I'd say that was a racing incident.
There was a lot of talk from even like Rosberg was like talking on a German TV show, I think it was, and he's like, yes, Hamilton could not physically turn the car more inside,
Yes.
but he went on the throttle earlier than he should have. So he
there was a gap
purposely
there.
knew that Albon was there, and he purposely sort of accelerated earlier to try and push him, to try and squeeze him out. So I don't think it's, I think Hamilton knew what he was doing. I think Hamilton just has so much experience that he can make it look like a racing incident, even though he's purposely trying to push someone off.
Ivan, let's be honest. If Albon made that overtake, Mercedes would not have finished that race. Mercedes
I think they would have.
I don't think they would have finished that race, man.
I would think Hamilton would have finished because Hamilton would have no reason to push. I think Bottas would have suffered because he would have been fighting Bottas for a long time. I think Hamilton, as soon as he passed Hamilton, I think Hamilton would just back off, and then Albon would start chasing Bottas, and then Bottas would have his issues.
Yeah, but that was a race. Do you know? I didn't expect the race to end that way because I remember by the first lap, Bottas had made a 2-second gap, if I'm not wrong.
He got up to like over 7
You
seconds
remember?
by the time.
He got a dude. He was 10 seconds ahead by the time guys were pitting. This guy the gap was so big, but that safety car, oh my god, cars are so unreliable, man. Like, what was that?
They had 9 retirements. Like, this is the first time since like 2015 there's been that many cars breaking down.
Since it's been such a long time since we've had that many retirements. But also another thing I have, the driver lineup for next year. That is also something we really need to discuss.
Yeah, we can get onto that as well. There's so much that happened in the race and so much that we predicted in the preseason. Like in preseason, we said that Ferrari only improved in the low speed corners and they're slow everywhere else. And you called it sandbagging. Like you said sandbagging at least 5 times in that first podcast, but it's true.
We did expect, Ivan, we did not expect that, to be honest. We did not expect that. But the goodness is, this weekend they are bringing up their updates that were meant to come in Hungary. They are bringing most of them this weekend. So hopefully Ferrari gets quicker. Hopefully. Because if they continue at this pace, man, Mercedes is about to dominate for another how many years now?
Yeah, I mean, think about it now. Like Ferrari have done so bad. McLaren is ahead of them right now in constructors.
Imagine, how is that? And then Vettel, I don't know what's going on with Vettel, but that was a very, very stupid driver's error from him, honestly.
I think Vettel's given up. I don't think he's bothering anymore. I think he's not enjoying racing, and he's just, I think he's just doing this for the sake of doing it now. Like
I read somewhere that the guys are saying it's the Ferrari drama that has stressed him too much, that he's not really that interested in racing for Ferrari. And also Webber said that Vettel needs to take a 1-year break and come back in 2022 with the new regulations.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
That's the best option. Like, him going to Red Bull, I don't see it. Honestly, like, Albon has been on point. Red Bull are not gonna get rid of Verstappen. There's no way. So Red Bull don't have an open space. So he's
Red
not
Bull
gonna
already
go there.
said they cannot afford having Max Verstappen and paying a 4-time, because once you become a world champion your salary goes up. And Red Bull said, Helmut Marko said before that they cannot afford right now to pay Vettel and at the same time still have Verstappen in the team, you see. So if Vettel comes to Red Bull, someone's gonna have to leave. You see, that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, and
right now Albon is so good, because there's something I don't know if you remember what Christian said early last year about Gasly. Actually, you remember when Gasly left, was demoted? There's something.
No,
Christian
he said it in Drive to Survive. He said, like, if you crash because
if
you're pushing,
crash,
it's okay.
And you're quick, you see, Albon was bloody quick, man. Come on, Ivan. That was, oh my God. When he made that overtake, I didn't think he'd make that move in that corner, especially. I thought he was going to be a bit more patient.
Pace. Like, he overtook Hamilton. Like, he did overtake Hamilton fully. Going around the corner, so he had so much pace.
No, but let's agree. The best overtake was Albon on Perez. That was amazing. That was amazing, man. Oh my god. And then immediately after he pulled that overtake, safety car came out.
But yeah, no,
Man,
and then Perez overtook him again.
that
But no,
was
so
a
yeah, I
race.
don't see Vettel going back to Red Bull. I think Vettel will retire most probably. There's no space for him. There's no Mercedes. I
No.
doubt. Like, yeah, Mercedes. I doubt sort of taking him in at all.
What have you said? I didn't catch that.
I'm saying about Vettel. I don't think he's going to be going to Red Bull, and I don't think he's going to be staying because there's no space for him.
For him
There's
in
no-
Formula One.
There's no team. There's no team right now that has an open space.
I remember a while back when the whole Vettel situation came up, he had said that he's not taking any other team if it's not Mercedes. And this is the thing, Aston Martin is coming up next year. And right now we have seen the pace of the Racing Point. And I believe that car can get quicker, honestly. But you know, even though they've stolen most of the car from Mercedes, I see them getting quicker next year.
Yeah, but they still have a lot of issues. Like they've shown reliability is one of them, even though a lot of teams are suffering. But also their drivers as well. Like you would think in how quick that car is that they would do better, but Perez and Stroll, they're not showing like
Proper
podium type races. Like
But-
Norris showed what a podium type drive
Yes,
is.
Norris-
Perez and Stroll didn't. They didn't show anything.
Norris pulled a drive and a half. Dude, what the hell was... I'm telling you that the overtake he pulled on Perez, that's how you overtake on the game, man. Like, that is virtual racing overtaking right there. That's nothing else. That was a proper overtake. It was a proper one from Norris. And I felt like he really earned that podium. That was a podium he fought for,
Yeah.
you see. Yeah.
We even
So-
actually talked about it, how McLaren might actually be very quick from pre-season testing, and they have shown they're very quick. McLaren
Because
year.
this is the thing, they're still running the Renault per unit, and they're not struggling as much as Renault is. You see,
Yeah, they're doing very well.
they're doing way. Actually, they're doing 10 times better than Renault. But Ocon was slow as hell, man. Way. Before Ricardo retired, did you see the gap?
Yeah.
Before actually all those retirements, this guy was so far behind.
That's why I think they left him. That's why Mercedes left him, because they're like, they probably saw him in testing and other stuff being
Yeah.
slower than Bottas and Hamilton, and they were like, why would we keep this guy around?
There was really no point. Plus, Reynolds was the perfect. But now this is the thing. Alonso is coming back to Formula One next year.
Yeah, which is another like, that's.
I find that being a waste, honestly, because there's enough F2 drivers that Reynolds could have brought up. Why would you bring in Alonso? And
I
we
think
all know
it's-
how bad Alonso is. Alonso, when the car is bad, Alonso is not going to hide it.
I think
that's
so.
his
I
reputation.
watched his interview today with F1 about how he's coming back, and he's saying he's more focused on coming back just to enjoy the racing rather than trying to be competitive. So it's like he's missed that buzz of Formula One, and he wants to just come back and enjoy Formula One again. So I think if he does that, then he'll be fine. Like he'll enjoy Formula One. Renault is not that competitive, so they don't win much. It will be good publicity for them, which I think is mainly why they did it, because Ricciardo left
Sponsorship,
after one
yeah.
season, so it's left them embarrassed. So they were like,
Yeah.
okay, we need someone to come in. So they're like, let's bring Alonso, a big name to hide from the embarrassment of Ricciardo leaving. I think that's the main thing why they left.
This is the thing,
why they
Ivan.
brought
I
him
was having a thought. Next year, McLaren is going to be powered by Mercedes.
in. Yeah, from next year on.
We have already seen how good of a downforce package McLaren has created for their car. What do you think is going to happen once they go into using a Mercedes power unit? How good do you think that car is going to be, honestly?
Well, we'll see this weekend. If this weekend they can perform just as well again, so even if it's not a podium, if they can get
Yes.
like fourth and fifth
Like
place,
fourth and fifth place, that's really good. That means that
Yeah.
next year they'll be battling in the top three. They'll be back to
easily.
and then with
And
Ricardo.
they'll have Ricciardo and Norris.
see,
And it's like a
so-
lot of people were putting off Norris after last season, but he showed this guy is quick.
No, Norris, that was his first season, to be honest. You see, you can't really judge him from that. It's like Albon. How many crashes did Albon have with Toro Rosso last year?
Yeah, but
This
still,
guy literally
not as bad as Gasly and Red Bull.
Okay, no, leave Gasly. Actually, he had more crashes than Gasly because this guy crashed in Hungary, he crashed in Singapore, he crashed so many times. But this is the thing, he'd crashed during practice. And you remember China? You remember Albon's crash in China? Albon's crash in China was serious, man. It wasn't something small. That was a serious accident.
But again, he was mostly pushing. It wasn't really that he was making mistakes. He was trying to find the limit of the car.
True, and I think I'd say he did that. But what I really want to see, I want to see Albon growing properly into that Red Bull seat. Just give me a moment. We continue. Man, I left my alarm on my phone, so it keeps on cutting the video. There's a part of the video you guys will not see me. I'm sorry for that, but anyway, as long as the recording is on point. Today it'll be my last time. It was Ivan. So now we can continue. You can continue. So this weekend, what's your prediction on this weekend, man?
I think it's going to be more boring, honestly. I think most of the teams will have a look at the issues they had and try and solve as many of them they had, and we'll have a more straightforward race. I don't think we'll have as many retirements this way around. And I still think that despite what Ferrari will bring, I don't think they can catch Mercedes at this point. So I think it's still going to be Mercedes 1-2 after qualifying, and then a more straightforward, simple race with some battles going on in like the midfield.
The midfield.
Yeah.
That's where Ferrari is right now. Ferrari right now is a midfield deep.
They said they have the 5th fastest car right now out of everyone.
But
based on like everything from the last weekend, Ferrari had the 5th fastest car.
I think what Ferrari really needs right now is an engine upgrade because their low speed corners are really, really good.
Yeah, like it's their mid and high speed corners and their straight line speed.
And the straight line speed, but the low speed corners, where Ferrari was losing so much time last year. If we had last year's power unit in this car, honestly, it would be a very, very big problem for Mercedes.
The cheating power unit, but yeah.
The cheating power unit. But you see, if we had that on this year's car, it would be a very, very big problem. But let's see, you never know. Ferrari might have gotten something. I don't know why they wanted to start off the season so slowly. They would have tried to find a hack somewhere to at least find some time somewhere on the tracks, you see. But right now they're losing so much. Dude, they were a second off last year's time, man.
Yeah,
like
and it's also there's really fast-paced tracks coming up now as well. That's the biggest problem. They have to really update quickly because there's no Singapore, there's no Monaco, there's no like corner-focused tracks this season so far. It's all fast-paced.
You remember
and if they do anything by Monza, imagine at Monza how slow they will be with this car.
It's gonna be embarrassing, man. And that's their home. And they said they might bring back Mugello, So let's see. And that's gonna be Ferrari's home banner. So you see, it's going to be so damn embarrassing,
Yeah, they really need to. It's like they went. Every time Ferrari has a problem, they're like, instead of fixing that problem, they fix the problem and then break whatever else was working. So like they were very quick in a straight line last year. They're like, we need to improve corners. They improved corners. They're not fast in a straight line anymore.
They broke the straight line speed.
What are they doing?
I think they really need to update that power unit because these guys rebuilt the power unit from scratch for this season. The new one, the one that running currently. I remember they started last year. But we never expected them to be this slow. You see, like it's embarrassing so slow for Ferrari out of all the teams because they've lost so much top end. Like they were so far ahead. Right now,
If you look at their trap speeds, look at their trap speeds from the race. They were the two slowest cars.
They were last. But this is the thing, Charles getting that podium, oh my God, like I was going mad. I was going mad, man. Like I did not expect that. Where did that come from, honestly?
I think that's what made it more special, is because if none of whatever, everyone expected them to finish 7th and maybe 10th. Like that's what they expected. They expected like 7th, 8th in that area. So I think because they didn't finish there, I think that's what made it a lot more special. Because I
But
did
this is
watch
the thing.
back the race, and yeah, Leclerc, like, he drove well, but he didn't do anything like
He didn't do
spectacular. There was
anything
nothing
spectacular.
like, yeah,
But this is the thing,
ridiculous.
Ivan. I don't know if you noticed the moment that car on. You remember when Charles suddenly started overtaking guys?
Mm.
That car on the hards, on the long runs, it's so damn good. Eh? This is the most shocking
Yeah, the
thing.
tire management is very good for Ferrari this year.
We didn't expect this, and their strategy this time was on. If only we had that strategy last year, maybe we would have won. Would have with our cheating power unit would have won more before they figured it out anyway. Would have maybe Vettel or Charles as champion, but now you see on that long run pace, because Charles, you remember before Charles took Norris, dude, Charles was struggling at first. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Charles just started moving up slowly. He took down Perez, and he didn't even struggle going through Perez. I don't know if you noticed. He didn't struggle going through Norris.
But
You
yeah,
see?
what was it? Racing? I almost called them tracing points. But yeah, they had issues in the race, so they weren't really as competitive
this is
as
the thing.
people expected them.
They copied Mercedes' car last year. Was it last year or the 2018 car? It was last
The
year.
2019 car, it's the
2019 car.
W10.
The W10, that's the W10. That car, to be honest, that car wasn't, because you remember Mercedes in Austria had overheating issues, and they did not come up during qualifying, and they did not come up during practice. They came up during the race. You remember? Because Mercedes finished, and they were so. You remember Vettel overtaking Hamilton? Like, they were so slow. It was sad for them. You see, no one expected that from Mercedes. We actually thought they were sandbagging till you see more guys coming to pass them. You're like, hey, what's going on here? You see, now Racing Point seems to have sorted that issue out. Because that car, it did not bring up any overheating issues. You notice that?
Yeah, it had other electrical problems.
But now
which,
they had
testing.
so many other issues, to be honest. But the team we need to talk about is Haas, man. The team we need to talk about is Haas. Like what's going on there?
There's no need to talk about it. Just last.
What is
They're
going on
worse
there?
than Williams
My
right
God,
now.
What is going on there? Eh? And Latifi finished his first race, not in such a bad place.
I think he was just using it as like a test. He was just trying to see what it's like, not trying to crash the car like he did in, I think it was either practice or qualifying. I forget when he crashed.
What was it? Was it qualifying? No, it was practice.
No, I think it was practice. Yeah,
three.
because he crashed into the barrier.
Uh-huh.
So I think he was just trying to save the car, get his experience, get the laps, and just finish the race, which is what he did. And yeah, surprisingly, that it was 11th because of how many people retired.
Because if only Vettel retired, Williams would have finished in the points, man.
Or if only Russell. If Russell never had a problem, they would have finished like 9th or 8th because Russell was running, I think it was either right behind Ocon or someone, or right behind Kvyat. Yeah, so Russell was in that pack, so if there was no issues like that, he would have finished in the points pretty easily.
But Russell's pace is also not bad, eh? It's just that this year's car is way better than last. 2019 was a very bad year for Williams, eh?
Yeah. They're actually issues. Like they can actually get into Q2. Like Russell has showed, he was like 0.07 seconds off.
I remember.
Like less than a tenth of a second.
They've really improved from last year, and Russell said he's happy with this year because last year they had some very funny issues, eh? Like braking.
Yeah, there was just no confidence in the car.
Yes,
like the car just felt unstable.
Dude, the car was bad, man. The car was bad, but they are better than Haas. I don't know what's going on in Haas, but they are better than Haas.
No pace, and then they had the braking issues during the race. Both cars had the same braking.
Both cars had the same braking. But you know that normally that's Haas. Haas, that's the funniest team in F1. They always have the same damn issues on both cars. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. The same issues. You remember the time 2018 when they had the tire nut issue?
Yeah.
You see, and they had it on both cars. So I don't know what Haas needs to do. I see Haas leaving F1 this season, honestly.
Yeah, it's not surprising. They're one of those teams like Marussia and MRT and all those things that they come for a few seasons. There's promise. You think they'll do well, and they
Yes,
end up
but
finishing
no.
last and they're just leaving Formula One.
Yeah. Like, hey, Marusha was bad, man. Marusha was really bad.
Yeah, so
Anyway, Ivan, what's your prediction for this weekend, man?
I'm still sticking to, I think, as much as I want to see Bottas keep winning, I think Hamilton will be pissed off and actually put in a bit more work. Because I don't know what it was, like Hamilton was just, everything was like being pushed against him this weekend. He was not as quick as Bottas. He got so many penalties throughout the race and throughout qualifying, and they kept targeting him. So it's like, yeah, he had so much stuff go wrong for him. So I feel like if he has a clean weekend, I think it's probably going to be a Hamilton win, followed by Bottas. And then I honestly see McLaren doing well and Red Bull if they sorted out their reliability issues. I don't think whatever updates Ferrari brought will help them to get to the podium again. Yeah, so that's yeah. So I think Hamilton and Bottas, then one of the Red Bulls. I think it will be cool to see Albon like finally get his first podium, and then the McLarens. So I think that's the top 5 for me for this weekend.
For me, hey, this gonna be, after last week, man, like none of us predicted that, honestly. None of us predicted that podium. So the only thing we predicted was Mercedes was going to be on the podium for sure.
Yeah.
You see, so this weekend I think the same. Hamilton is going to take this win, this race, and now he's mad. After the shit that went down last week, this weekend he's gonna be mad, man. I can bet he's going to be topping the sheets from Q1, not even from FP1 till Q3. Hamilton is going to be on top. But this is the thing, I'm not counting out Max yet. I'm not. Dude, Max on that track is something else. Max there.
Yeah. Max just suffered from reliability. That's all.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't slow. He just had reliability issues.
But this is the thing. Before Max's car died, there was a battle that was ongoing between Max and Hamilton. Had closed the gap between him and Max.
Yeah.
You see, so him going side by side with Max would have been so damn interesting, eh? But that would have been easy pickings for, because we've seen how quick that Mercedes is bloody quick, man. I don't know if they're
But
cheeky,
remember,
I
they
don't know
had
what
the
they're doing.
issues. So we never saw the Mercedes fight. We saw them just following each other,
They
running
were
the curves
about,
and having
this is the
the
thing,
issues.
Ivan, they were up, but let me tell you, the funniest thing was when Bono was telling Hamilton, can you please keep off the cabs? Hamilton is like, this guy in front of me is riding the cabs, why the hell should I keep off the cabs? And they were both saying that, you see. The moment James came on, that's when these guys were like, oh my god, there's some serious shit going on, eh?
Yeah. So that's the thing. So like if they were
highlight.
actually fighting with Max, I think Hamilton's car would have broken down. I think like that's what would have happened.
Hamilton wouldn't have finished. Hamilton wouldn't have finished that race if Max was still in the race.
Because Max is brutal. Like Max won't just let you pass, no matter if you have a faster car or not.
But now let's see. This weekend should make it so damn interesting. I honestly can't give out a prediction, but for sure, McLaren is going to be. Let me give my McLaren prediction. I say top 5 for McLaren. They may get. Ivan, this thing. They may get another podium. You never know.
Yeah, they suffered a bit in race pace though. Like at the start, they were quite slow. Before the first safety car, they were quite slow. Like they were there around 6th, 7th, 8th, but they weren't like podium places. So I think if they can fix that, then yeah, easily a podium for them as well.
Anyway, so you said Hamilton, Bottas, and one of the Red Bulls, huh?
Yeah, that's what I think.
And then McLaren, then Ferrari.
Yeah, because I don't see Ferrari improving that much, honestly, in a week. It's not even a week. It's like 5 days they've had.
This is the thing,
Ivan.
to be honest, one thing I've learned is that Mattia is one of the best guys at sandbagging. You remember Singapore last year when they brought in the new updates?
I put this word even in the notes. You've said this word like so many times, from testing till now.
No, let me tell you what gave me motivation. You remember Singapore last year? You said, I remember you specifically said, we are getting into Red Bull territory from here on out. You remember? Because we all know Singapore, that's Red Bull territory, man. Next thing, Ferrari put in a new floor and a new front wing. That floor helps with the tire deck, and my friend, that thing changed stuff for Ferrari completely. You see, and those two updates put them on the podium.
Yeah.
So we never, the new updates may bring them up the field. You never know. You never know. That's why I cannot wait. FP1 is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So that's when we'll see how. But you know, these guys, they don't show us proper pace during practice.
It'll be Saturday is when we'll see where everyone is at.
Saturday is when we'll see where everyone is, you see. But my prediction, I say, Mercedes, one of the Mercedes is going to win the race. One of them. And I see Max being second. And hopefully Albon being third. That's my prediction for this weekend.
It's a bold prediction. We'll make sure to see how it plays out.
It's this is how you make bets, man. You have to risk the highest stake, man.
Yeah,
anyway, I think. Do you have anything else to add on?
No, I think the only other point we had left is about DAS, but it didn't really show anything. It didn't really seem that it helped Mercedes at all. I mean, they were better at keeping their tires, but
they were using. But this is the thing. They were using DAS mostly during on qualifying out laps, and when the safety car was out. That's when they were using DAS.
Yeah.
But race pace, I didn't really see them using DAS.
Yeah, so I don't think it's that big of a game changer as we thought in testing.
Game changer. Maybe if Red Bull brings up one of their DAS systems, man, it'll be something out of this world.
Yeah, but for Mercedes here, at the moment, it's not as big as we thought. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's been the only things on my list.
Anyway, I think that's enough for today. Next podcast should be next week after the race.
Yeah, it's gonna be packed now because it's every weekend now for the next like 5 weeks.
Everyone, good luck with their predictions.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're done for now.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. Wait, Ivan. I messed up somewhere.